You're sitting in your car. The meeting starts at 2 p.m. It's 1:37 p.m. You're already here, parked, waiting. Everyone else will show up at 1:58, maybe 2:03. But you'd rather sit alone for 20 minutes than risk being even 1 minute late. If this is you, your brain is wired completely different. And what most people call being responsible, psychologists call something else entirely. Let's be real for a second. While most people are rushing, apologizing, walking in late with excuses, you're the person who's been sitting there just waiting. Some people think you're just really organized. Others assume you're overly eager or have nothing better to do. But the truth, the psychology behind chronic early arrival runs way deeper than punctuality. It's about control. It's about It's about anxiety. It's about childhood. And sometimes it's about trauma. Today we're breaking down the real reasons why some people can't physically handle being late, what your brain is actually doing when you arrive early, and the one thing researchers discovered that will completely reframe how you see this habit. Stay till the end. This one's going to hit different. Here's what people don't understand. Arriving early isn't a choice for you. It's a compulsion. Let me paint a picture. You have a doctor's appointment at 10 a.m. At 9:45, you're calm, prepared, ready to leave. But then you imagine hitting traffic, or not finding parking, or the elevator being slow. Suddenly your heart rate spikes, your chest tightens. The what-ifs flood in, so you leave at 9:15, and you arrive at 9:35, and you sit in your car, scrolling your phone, because the alternative, the possibility of being late, feels like actual danger. Psychologists call this anticipatory anxiety. Your brain treats potential lateness the same way it treats genuine threats. The amygdala, your fear center, fires up. Cortisol floods your system. Fight or flight kicks in. And the only way to calm it down, eliminate the variable. Arrive so early that lateness becomes impossible. But here's the deeper truth. This isn't really about time. It's about control. When you arrive early, you control the narrative. You're never the person people are waiting on. You're never the reason something starts late. You're never the problem. For people with anxiety, especially those who felt like a burden or a disappointment in the past, being early is a way to prove, I'm not a problem, I'm reliable, I won't let you down. It's self-protection disguised as punctuality. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Perfectionism. If you're always early, chances are you're also the person who triple-checks emails before sending them, who rewrites texts, who apologizes for things that don't need apologies, because, in your mind, there's no such thing as good enough. There's only perfect or failure, and being late, that's failure. Psychologist Thomas Curran studied perfectionism and found something disturbing. Perfectionists don't fear being average. They fear being perceived as flawed. So let's connect the dots. If you show up late, even by 2 minutes, what does that say about you? In your mind it says, I'm disorganized, I'm disrespectful, I don't have my life together. But if you show up early, you've proven the opposite. You're competent, respectful, in control. Except here's the problem. This standard is exhausting. Because you're not just managing your time, you're managing how people perceive you. Every single day. Every single interaction. And the worst part, most people don't even notice. They walk in at 2:03, unbothered, unashamed. Meanwhile, you've been sitting there since 1:40, heart racing at the thought of someone thinking less of you. This is the perfectionism trap. You're not early because you respect time. You're early because you're terrified of judgment. Now, some of you might be thinking, wait, I'm early because I respect other people's time. That's a good thing, right? And yes, on the surface, it is. But let's dig deeper. Where did that belief come from? For many people, the obsession with respecting time comes from childhood. Maybe you had a parent who was always late, and you hated the embarrassment. So you swore you'd never do that to someone else. Or maybe you had a parent who was militant about punctuality. Being late meant consequences, disappointment, anger, shame. So now, as an adult, lateness doesn't just feel rude, it feels dangerous. You're not respecting time. You're avoiding the emotional punishment you learned to associate with being late. And here's the harsh truth. Most people don't care if you're 5 minutes late. They really don't. But you care. Because somewhere along the way, you internalized the belief that your worth is tied to your reliability. That if you're late, you're less valuable. Let's talk about control. Because that's really what this is about. Life is chaotic, unpredictable. You can't control traffic, other people, unexpected emergencies, but you can control when you leave. And when you arrive. So you do, obsessively. Because if you can't control the chaos, at least you can control this one thing. And for people who've experienced trauma, loss of control, or unpredictable environments growing up, that matters. Being early becomes your anchor. You're proof that you can manage at least one aspect of life. But here's the paradox. The more you try to control time, the less free you become. You can't be spontaneous. You can't relax. You can't enjoy the moment because you're always calculating. If I leave now, I'll be there by X. But if I leave in 10 minutes, I might hit traffic. You've traded peace for precision? And honestly, it's exhausting. Let's talk about what this habit actually costs you. Time, obviously. All those minutes sitting in parking lots, waiting rooms, lobbies. That adds up. But more than that, it costs you mental energy. Because you're not just early to one thing. You're early to everything. Doctor appointments, coffee with friends, work meetings, family dinners, and each time you're running the same mental calculations. Planning, preparing, stressing. Meanwhile, people who show up on time, or even a little late, aren't thinking about it at all. They're living their lives. You're managing anxiety. And here's what hurts. Most people don't see it. They don't see the internal battle, the racing thoughts, the compulsion. They just see someone who's always early, and they assume it's easy. For you, but it's not easy. It's survival, okay? Here's the reveal I promised. And this one's important. A study from the University of California found that people who are chronically early often score higher in conscientiousness. That's one of the big 5 personality traits linked to success, reliability, and long-term achievement. So yes, being early can be a strength. But the same study found something else. These individuals also report higher levels of chronic stress and lower life satisfaction. Because the trait that makes you successfully or hyper-responsibility is also the trait that's quietly burning you out. You're not broken. You're not weird. But you are paying a price that most people don't see. So here's what we've learned. If you're always early, it might mean you're managing anxiety, chasing perfectionism, compensating for childhood experiences, seeking control in chaos, or protecting your sense of worth. And honestly, that's okay. But maybe it's time to ask yourself, am I early because I want to be? Or because I'm afraid of what happens if I'm not? Because you deserve to exist without constantly proving your worth through punctuality. You're allowed to be human, even if that means being on time instead of early. If this resonated, drop a comment. Let me know. Are you the early person, or the I'll be there in 5 inches person? And if you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe. We dive deep into human psychology every week.